If they are not censoring conservatives, then they're trying to control what you see, what you hear, what you say, what you think. And that is the cancel culture mob. And my guest has had such a time with the cancel culture. And I'm sure that you have read some of the articles that are written about his situation. Professor Ilya Shapiro is with us, and he was recently with Georgetown Law. So it is so good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us for Unmuted.
It's good to be with you, Senator. And I should say I'm not unaware of Tennessee politics. I actually interned for then freshman Senator Bill Frist 25 years ago.
How wonderful that is. That is good to know, and to know that you have that tie to Tennessee. If you would, for our Unmuted audience, just briefly walk them through your situation.
Sure. So I was with the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank, for about 15 years and decided to make a change. Got hired by Georgetown University Law Center to be the executive director of their Center for the Constitution. And I was due to start February 1st. The dean put out a notice, very exciting, all of that. 5 days before I was hired was when news of Justice Breyer's retirement leaked, and I was doing media commentary that day. And that night I was traveling. I was in Austin, Texas. I was doing something that I don't advise people to do, which is to doom scroll Twitter and going through and getting upset by various commentary. And I tweeted out my criticism of President Biden's decision to restrict his pool of justice candidates by race and sex. He famously said he would be appointing a Black woman. I don't like that. I didn't like choosing or restricting applicants for any job, let alone one of the highest jobs in the land, by race and sex. And so I tweeted out that criticism and went to bed, and a firestorm erupted overnight. I was condemned by the Twitter mob and eventually by the dean of Georgetown as well, who onboarded me. So I formally joined Georgetown February 1, but was immediately suspended, placed on paid leave pending investigation into whether my comments violated the university's harassment and anti-discrimination policy. And it took them 4 months to evaluate that. The lawyers were, evaluating every character in that tweet. And eventually they realized not that I was protected by free speech, didn't even go there, but that I hadn't been an employee when I tweeted, and so was not covered by the policy. And so I was technically reinstated just over a week ago. But in reading the fine print of the report by the Office of, kind of got an Orwellian name, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Affirmative Action, in reading that report, it made clear that the next time I would say anything that made someone uncomfortable or they claimed offense, that would create a hostile educational environment and I'd be subject to discipline. And look, I could not do the job I was hired to do under those kinds of conditions with a sword of Damocles over my head. So I resigned a week ago. I announced that in the pages of the Wall Street Journal, publicized my detailed resignation letter talking about all of the illiberal trends and the enforcing of a rigid orthodoxy at Georgetown, and that's where I am now.
And how does it make you feel knowing that you really challenged the system, stood up for your beliefs, and actually ended up winning in this case?
Well, I'm still processing various lessons that I got from this whole surreal experience. One of which certainly is don't back down. I'm fortunate in that I have a platform. I can get published in the Wall Street Journal or go on, national TV or talk to a senator. And I know people who also make publicity and came out in support of me. So I tried to use every tool, and I continue to use every tool at my disposal to stand up to the woke mob and to push back. And one thing I learned is that if you refuse to be canceled, they can't cancel you. And I've been trying to live that, and I've been trying to use this moment to shine a light on some of these really negative trends going on in academia and beyond.
Have you had people reach out to you that have been canceled or have lost their jobs at different universities because they stood up for free speech?
Yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, there are a number of these cases, and they've been increasing in the last few years. A wonderful organization called the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. They just rebranded last week. It used to be in education, but they've gotten greater funding to expand their mission to protect speech even beyond education. But they provided me and do provide other professors that they learn about, and students for that matter, who get caught up in these kangaroo courts and star chambers and all of that, with public relations support, crisis management, and legal support. My counsel, I had an excellent lawyer that was funded by FIRE's Legal Defense Fund. And so, yes, when professors and others get in touch with me, I try to teach them the lessons I have and put them in touch with people that have supported me along the way.
Well, I think that you probably are going to be able to help a lot of people who have, whether they're professors or students who have been hit by this. I had one mother recently say to me, she thought when she sent her child to college that it would be opening their mind, exposing them to the counterpoint, helping them to learn to be a critical thinker. And she was shocked that their view was narrowed, their worldview was narrowed, and they had less tolerance for people with opposing viewpoints.
Yeah, that's really the difference now from decades ago. I mean, academia has always had a left-wing bent to it. I was in college 25 years ago. I was in law school 20 years ago. I don't think the ratio of, liberal to moderate to conservative professors or students has shifted very much in that time. But what has changed is that administrators now are afraid of the woke mob, of the illegal forces on the left. I don't even want to, honor them by calling them liberal. They're ultra progressive woke mobs, and they just won't stand up to them. And in fact, they enforce a rigid orthodoxy, what's called the Overton window. The acceptable range of policy views has narrowed, as you said, and shifted to the left. And that's something new. So it's not necessarily that the deans and presidents and department heads at these universities all of a sudden are much more left-wing. It's that they're spineless and they don't stand up to these illiberal trends. And you've had administrative bloat. So one ratio that has changed a lot is the ratio of professors to administrators. There's a lot more administrators than there are people who actually teach. And a big part of those administrators are DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which again is an Orwellian name that actually subverts intellectual diversity, prevents equal opportunity, and excludes anyone who would dissent from the prevailing orthodoxy.
That intellectual diversity, being able to see both sides of an argument, is something that is so important to decision making. And as I like to say, robust, respectful, bipartisan debate has served this country well. And it is something that I would like to see us return to. Let me ask you this cancel culture on the campus and this lack of tolerance, how do we solve this problem?
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was an easy answer. I'm trying to use this moment into which I've been thrust to show some of these negative trends on Georgetown specifically and in academia more broadly. I have to say, Senator, I'm not terribly optimistic about academia. I do see good things and pushbacks and pendulum swinging back in society at large, including in corporate America. Pushback on some of the things that we've seen. But in academia, I don't know whether it all has to, go away and implode before something better can take its place. And there are some universities, law schools, colleges that are better than others. I went to the University of Chicago for law school, and that's always been a leader, both in terms of their free speech policy, their belief in the free exchange of ideas. But my undergraduate alma mater, Princeton, which was very good, but we've seen what happened with a professor named Joshua Katz, who was fired, stripped of tenure and fired based on a pretext because he wrote a letter critical of some of the Black Lives Matter activities and things like that. I don't know what to counsel, because it's not rocket science what the administrators need to do if they want to have a healthier campus culture. And they can lead. They put in whatever campus culture they want. Lately, that's been an emphasis on this DEI stuff, but it can be and should be a free exchange of ideas. All it'll take is just administrators who have some spine and who actually believe in what all universities' educational mission should be, which is to seek the truth, to discuss ideas, to follow the research and the knowledge and the science wherever it takes you. And there's just too few administrators, I'm not talking professors, but administrators who are willing to instill that kind of healthy educational culture.
Well, this is something I think many parents would like to see, a return to that kind of exchange of ideas and tolerance for opposing viewpoints. And they would appreciate seeing that on the college campus. We hear about it so much. Well, you're going to be able to keep up with Ilya Shapiro online. He's on Twitter at @iShapiro. And you're always going to find me on social media at Marsha Blackburn. Thank you so much for joining us for Unmuted. Thank you.
My pleasure, Senator. And I'm staying in the arena. I'm actually joining the Manhattan Institute, not moving to New York, but still working for my home in Virginia as their director of constitutional studies. So I will stay in the fight.
That is good to hear. Thank you for joining us. Bye now.